If you can't control your emotions, people will control you. And most people never realize that their inability to focus has nothing to do with laziness, intelligence, or motivation. It begins much deeper than that. Somewhere between endless notifications, emotional exhaustion, silent anxiety, and the constant pressure to keep up, your mind slowly lost its ability to stay still. You sit down to work, and within seconds your brain starts searching for escape. A new tab, a new thought, a new distraction. And the frightening part is this doesn't happen by accident. Modern life is training your attention to break apart every single day. The average person now spends more time reacting than thinking, more time scrolling than reflecting, more time consuming than understanding themselves. And over time, the brain adapts to chaos until silence itself starts to feel uncomfortable. That's why even when you finally have time to focus, your mind feels restless. In this video, you'll understand the hidden psychological reasons why your concentration is disappearing, why your attention span feels weaker than ever, and why so many intelligent people secretly struggle to finish what they start. More importantly, you'll see how certain habits, emotional patterns, and social behaviors may be quietly rewiring your brain without you noticing it. Because the truth is, the problem is not simply your phone, your routine, or your lack of discipline. There's a deeper psychological mechanism behind all of this. And once you see it clearly, the way you look at your own mind may never be the same again. If you stay until the end of this video, you're going to understand why your mind feels tired all the time, even when your body hasn't really done much. Because most people think focus is about discipline. It's not. Focus is about mental space. And right now, most people have none left. Think about how your day usually starts. Before your feet even touch the floor, your brain is already being pulled in 10 different directions. You check your phone, just for a second. One notification turns into another. A text message becomes a social media scroll. Then suddenly your mind is flooded with bad news, other people's opinions, fake motivation, arguments, perfect bodies, perfect relationships, perfect lives. And the weird part? This happens so often that people stopped noticing how unnatural it really is. Your brain never gets a clean start anymore. It wakes up already overstimulated. That's why so many people feel mentally exhausted before the day even begins. And no one talks enough about how dangerous constant mental noise actually is. Because noise doesn't only distract you, it changes you. Little by little, your attention span starts shrinking without you realizing it. You begin struggling to finish simple tasks. You read the same sentence 3 times. You open apps without thinking. You walk into rooms and forget why you went there. Conversations become harder to stay present in. Even watching a full movie without touching your phone starts feeling impossible. Not because your brain is broken, but because it adapted to interruption. And honestly, one of the strangest parts of modern life is how people confuse stimulation with relaxation. Someone says they're resting, but their brain is still consuming non-stop. Videos, music, notifications, podcasts, scrolling while eating, scrolling while lying in bed, scrolling during conversations. The mind never fully stops. It just jumps from one distraction to another until the day ends. And eventually, silence starts feeling uncomfortable. That's the part most people never expect. The moment your brain becomes addicted to constant input, stillness begins to feel almost threatening. You sit alone for 5 quiet minutes and suddenly your mind starts racing. Random worries appear out of nowhere. Old memories come back. Anxiety gets louder. So what do people do? They escape back into noise because distraction feels easier than facing what's underneath it. And social media platforms know this better than anyone. They're designed to keep your attention emotionally hooked. Every swipe gives your brain a tiny hit of novelty. Not satisfaction. Novelty. There's a difference. Novelty keeps the brain searching for more. And over time, your ability to stay deeply engaged with one thing starts fading away. You can actually see this everywhere now. People struggle to sit through dinner without checking their phones. Friends hang out while half paying attention to each other. Someone opens YouTube to watch one helpful video and ends up lost in recommendations for 2 hours. And afterward, there's this strange emptiness. Like the brain consumed so much but absorbed almost nothing. That feeling is becoming incredibly common. Not because people are weak, but because modern life keeps the brain in a constant state of reaction. And a reactive mind can't focus deeply. It only survives moment to moment. That's why even intelligent people are starting to feel mentally scattered. Their attention is being fragmented all day long. One study from the University of California found that after an interruption, it can take over 20 minutes for the brain to fully regain focus. Now imagine what happens when interruptions happen every few minutes, every single day, for years. Eventually, the brain stops expecting depth altogether. It starts craving speed instead. Fast entertainment, fast dopamine, fast relief. And without noticing it, people slowly lose the ability to tolerate boredom. Even though boredom used to be the doorway to creativity, reflection, and deep thinking. But what's really frightening is that distraction itself is only part of the problem. Because underneath all the noise, there's usually something much heavier people are trying not to feel. Here's the part most people don't realize until it's already affecting their entire life. Distraction is no longer just entertainment. For a lot of people, it became emotional survival. And that changes everything. Because when the brain starts using distractions to escape stress, loneliness, pressure, insecurity, or exhaustion, focus stops feeling natural. Think about how often this happens without people noticing. Someone feels uncomfortable for 2 seconds. Instantly the phone comes out. Waiting in line? Phone. Sitting alone? Phone. Eating? Phone. Feeling awkward? Phone. Feeling sad? Scroll. Feeling stressed? Videos. Feeling empty? More noise. Modern life created a world where almost nobody has to sit with their emotions anymore. And at first, it feels harmless, even relaxing. But over time, the brain quietly learns something dangerous. Every uncomfortable feeling must be escaped immediately. That's why so many people struggle to stay focused now. Not because they're incapable, but because focus requires staying present long enough to feel resistance. And most people train themselves to run from resistance every single day. You can actually feel this happening in real time. Someone opens a laptop to work, but within minutes their brain starts searching for relief. Suddenly checking messages feels urgent. Cleaning the room feels urgent. Random thoughts feel urgent. Even hunger appears out of nowhere sometimes. It's almost like the mind will do anything to avoid staying still with one difficult task. And honestly, that's terrifying when you think about it deeply, because a distracted mind doesn't only affect productivity. It affects identity. Over time, people start losing trust in themselves. They tell themselves they'll change, they'll focus, they'll finally become disciplined. But then the cycle repeats again and again. And eventually there's this quiet frustration that builds up inside. Not loud frustration, the dangerous kind. The kind that slowly turns into disappointment in yourself. That's why so many people feel mentally stuck even when they're constantly busy. Their attention is scattered across hundreds of tiny escapes all day long, leaving no energy for the things that actually matter to them. And the worst part is how invisible this pattern becomes. Because society rewards busyness now, even when that busyness is meaningless. Someone can spend 10 hours switching between apps, emails, videos, messages, and still feel like they worked all day. But mentally, their brain never entered a deep state of attention once. A study from Stanford even found that constant multitasking reduces cognitive control and weakens the brain's ability to filter distractions effectively. In simple terms, the more scattered your attention becomes, the harder it gets to regain control over it later. And you can see the emotional effects everywhere. People feel restless during quiet moments. Relationships feel more shallow. Patience disappears faster. Even happiness starts feeling shorter. Because when the brain becomes addicted to stimulation, ordinary life begins to feel emotionally flat. That's why people keep searching for stronger entertainment, faster content, louder experiences. But no amount of stimulation fixes emotional exhaustion. It only delays it. And underneath all these distractions, many people are carrying a level of mental pressure they haven't fully acknowledged yet. That pressure follows them into conversations, into relationships, into work, into bed at night. It's there in the silence after the scrolling stops. And for a lot of people, that hidden emotional weight is the real reason their mind can no longer stay focused for long. A lot of people think they have an attention problem, but honestly, what many people really have is an emotional overload problem that's been ignored for too long. And the mind has a strange way of protecting itself when it carries too much pressure for too long. It stops slowing down. It stops staying present. It keeps searching for distractions because silence starts bringing buried emotions to the surface. That's why some people can spend hours consuming content but struggle to spend 10 quiet minutes alone with their own thoughts. The problem isn't only distraction anymore. It's avoidance, emotional avoidance. And modern life makes it incredibly easy to live disconnected from yourself without even realizing it. Someone wakes up anxious, but instead of processing it, they drown it in noise. Another person feels lonely, but keeps pretending they're just busy. Someone else feels lost in life, but keeps scrolling because stopping for a moment would force them to confront questions they've been avoiding for years. And after a while, the brain gets stuck in survival mode without the person even noticing it happened. You can see this everywhere now, especially at night. That moment when everything finally gets quiet and suddenly the mind becomes loud. Thoughts start racing. Regrets appear. Pressure about the future creeps in. Tiny insecurities become massive at 2 a.m. That's why so many people sleep with videos playing, music running, or their phone in their hand until they pass out. It's not always about entertainment. Sometimes it's about avoiding the emotional weight waiting in silence. And the scary part is how normal this has become. People laugh about being mentally exhausted like it's just part of adulthood now. But deep down, many are carrying emotional tension their nervous system was never meant to hold nonstop. Constant comparison, financial stress, relationship confusion, fear of failure, fear of being left behind. The pressure to always improve, always achieve, always become better. The brain never fully rests because emotionally, people never feel safe enough to slow down anymore. And when the mind stays under pressure for too long, concentration naturally starts collapsing. Not because the person is weak, but because the brain prioritizes survival over deep focus. There's also something else happening that most people completely overlook. Emotional clutter destroys clarity. Imagine trying to hear someone whisper while standing in the middle of a screaming crowd. That's what modern life feels like mentally for millions of people. Too much information, too many opinions, too many expectations pulling the mind in different directions at once. And eventually people lose connection with what they actually feel. They become reactive instead of intentional. That's why someone can spend an entire day doing things and still feel strangely empty afterward. Nothing feels fully satisfying because the mind never fully arrives in the present moment. Even happy experiences become diluted by mental noise. Someone watches a sunset while checking notifications. Someone spends time with family while thinking about work. Someone listens to a friend while mentally replaying their own stress. The body is present, but the attention is somewhere else entirely. And over time, this constant fragmentation changes the way people experience life itself. But here's what makes all of this even more important to understand. Your focus can return. Not overnight, not through some fake productivity trick, but through something much deeper. The moment you stop treating your attention like a machine and start understanding the emotional patterns controlling it, everything begins to shift. Because focus is not just about concentration. It's connected to emotional balance, mental recovery, and the ability to sit with discomfort without immediately escaping from it. That's why some of the most mentally clear people aren't necessarily the smartest people in the room. They're often the people who learned how to slow their minds down before the world sped them up. And in a time where almost everyone is mentally overstimulated, emotionally distracted, and constantly reacting, the ability to truly focus has quietly become one of the rarest forms of control a person can have. And maybe that's the real problem nobody warned people about. The modern world didn't just steal attention. It slowly disconnected people from themselves. Most people aren't truly living anymore, they're reacting. Reacting to notifications, reacting to pressure, reacting to fear, stress, comparison, expectations, noise. Day after day, the The mind becomes so crowded that people forget what mental clarity even feels like. And the saddest part is that many don't notice it happening until they can no longer sit alone in silence without feeling restless inside. But the moment you begin understanding why your mind keeps searching for distraction, something changes. You stop seeing yourself as lazy, broken, or undisciplined. You begin realizing your brain adapted to an environment that constantly fights for your attention. And in a world designed to keep people distracted, emotionally overwhelmed, and mentally exhausted, learning how to slow down, protect your attention, and regain control over your own mind may become one of the most important psychological skills of this generation. Because at the end of the day, your focus is more than productivity. It shapes your relationships, your emotions, your habits, your future, and the kind of life you're capable of building. And maybe the people who truly take control of their lives in the future won't be the loudest, fastest, or busiest ones, but the ones who still know how to think clearly while the rest of the world keeps drowning in noise. If something in this video felt a little too familiar, there's probably a reason for that. Sometimes the reactions we try to ignore are the exact signals pointing toward patterns we've been living with for years without questioning them. The habits that drain your energy, the distractions you keep returning to, the emotional cycles that quietly repeat in the background of your life. Most of these patterns don't appear overnight. They build slowly through routine, pressure, loneliness, stress, and repetition until they start feeling normal. And that's what makes them dangerous. People rarely notice the moment survival mode becomes a lifestyle. But once you begin recognizing these behaviors clearly, your relationship with yourself starts changing. You stop moving through life on autopilot. You start paying attention to what truly controls your focus, your emotions, and your decisions. And honestly, that level of awareness changes more than people expect. Because the more clearly you understand your own behavioral patterns, the harder it becomes for distractions, emotional impulses, and outside pressure to control you without your permission. So after this video ends, don't just move on to the next distraction immediately. Sit with it for a moment. Think about what actually connected with you, not what sounded interesting, but what felt uncomfortably real. Because most people spend their entire lives avoiding self-reflection, and then wonder why they keep repeating the same mental exhaustion, the same emotional chaos, and the same destructive habits over and over again. And maybe that's the deeper truth behind all of this. The moment a person truly starts understanding their own mind, they stop being controlled by every emotion, every distraction, and every environment around them. And in today's world, that kind of mental clarity is becoming rarer than ever. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, that already says something important about you. Most people avoid conversations like this because facing your own patterns isn't easy. But the people who start understanding their mind are usually the same people who eventually take back control of their life. So before you leave, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because every week we break down the hidden psychology behind human behavior, emotional control, focus, relationships, mental habits, and the patterns silently shaping modern life. And if this video connected with you in any way, leave a like so YouTube recommends this to more people struggling with the same mental exhaustion and constant distraction. Also, I want to hear from you. Comment the number 1 if you realized your focus problem is more emotional than you thought, or comment 2 if you feel modern life is overstimulating your mind every single day. And don't stop here. Watch the video showing on your screen right now because it connects perfectly with what you learned today, especially if you want to understand the deeper psychological patterns affecting your emotions, habits, and attention span. Then go through the full playlist linked in the card, because each video reveals another layer of how the modern mind is being shaped without most people realizing it.